And I remember so clearly, it said $28,000 a year. And I looked at the salary and my heart sunk into my stomach. And I thought, there's no way I can dive with sharks
Right.
because it's not going to make me enough money. And I remember in that moment abandoning that dream
Uh-huh.
because I didn't think that it was going to be able to provide any kind of meaningful income.
Right. Welcome to the Unstuck Career Podcast with your host, Ken Williams. Each week, we move along your path to possibility so you can finally have the life you want. Let's learn how to deal with people you never wanted to be friends with together so you can become unstuck and unstoppable in your career and life. And welcome back to another episode of the Unstuck Career Podcast. This week, another friend, a person who I actually have talked to in real life. This is Monica Artta. And I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but is that close enough?
You are. Yeah,
Okay.
that's close enough.
Monica, we said hi to each other as we were getting lunch.
We did very briefly in line to get lunch.
In line to get lunch. It was so great.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we met this is the same program that Carolina from a couple weeks ago and Julie from a few weeks ago. We're all in the same program. So we all know each other virtually anyways. And Monica and I have met in person. Actually, I've met all three of them. But I wanted to talk to her because the thing that I've really been having fun talking to people about lately is the idea that the 9 to 5 that is so toxic for so many people is not the only way for people to have an income. I can't leave my job because I have bills. Yeah, I get it. We all have bills. And so as I was talking to Monica and learning a little bit about her story, I learned that she's kind of been in the same boat. You had bills probably.
So many. Yes. I'm not exempt at all.
And a 9 to 5. You did not start in this current coaching business.
No, I did not. I've had many 9 to 5s for many, many years. I started when I was, in high school. It wasn't an official 9 to 5 then. It was more like a 4 hour shift.
Right.
But yeah, I've had many, many, many over the years.
So what one of the things that for me has kind of shaped my career was the lessons that I learned even before high school, that this is the way to be a success, whatever the success means. So what were some of the rules that you believed you had to follow as you were starting your career?
Yeah. It's interesting because I didn't know it at the time, right? But I think now, as I look back on it, one of the things I learned very early on was I had to get a good job, like a good paying job, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what success looked like
Okay.
in order to be able to provide. So my mom was a single mom. My parents got divorced when I was 5, and my mom ended up working in an auto factory because it was the highest paying job she could get. It was probably the worst environment that she could have ever entered.
Yeah.
But she did it because she felt like that was her only option. And so I learned from a very young age that I didn't want to be stuck like my mom was stuck.
Sure.
And so I had to go to college. I had to get a degree. I had to get a grown-up job, and it had to be the best paying job in the best possible environment I could find given the options.
Right.
And so I learned very young that it had to look, at least what I thought at the time was, it can't look anything like what my mom went through.
Right.
So it had to look like a grown-up job where, I was in an office and I could climb the corporate ladder and get to a good title and good pay and something really stable.
Kind of a white collar as opposed to a blue collar environment.
Totally.
Right?
Completely. Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. I've brought this up on the podcast before, but it's really interesting that the lessons that we learn really at any point in our life is not the same as the lesson that we're taught. And so it could be a totally different message that you got. But it's interesting that's the lesson that you absorbed. How did that affect your everything? We'll talk about the direction that you chose from college to the companies, the way that you approach getting the jobs, to climbing the corporate ladder, to other things that might impact, like job satisfaction, work-life balance, things like that.
Yeah. So I guess where I can start, Ken, is from the place of I didn't know, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. And here's another sidebar because I think it's important. When I was a kid, probably, I don't know, elementary school, my dream was to be a marine biologist and dive with sharks.
Oh, cool.
That's what I wanted to do so desperately. I was obsessed with it. I watched all the National Geographic, all the Shark Week things before it was the Shark Week thing. And then I remember in fifth grade, we had a career day at school. And at the time you go on the computer and you type in the thing that you think you want to do with your career, and you get a printout of like, here's what a marine biologist is. And at the very bottom of the page was average salary.
Oh, yes.
And I remember so clearly it said $28,000 a year. And I looked at the salary and my heart sunk into my stomach. And I thought, there's no way I can dive with sharks
Right.
because it's not going to make me enough money. And I remember in that moment abandoning that dream
Uh-huh.
because I didn't think that it was going to be able to provide any kind of meaningful income. I was
Right.
in fifth grade. And so as I went through my middle school years and high school years, I was like, well, what can I do? Because I love animals, but what can I do that can make me more money? So I decided I was going to go to veterinary school. So I was like, well, I'll be able to make the money I need to make, but also be able to be with animals. So that informed the college that I chose to go to for my freshman year, which was Colorado State University, which is one of the
Mm.
best veterinary schools in the country. And then freshman year, I got really sick. I got mono and I flunked out of half my classes. And my parents were living in Arizona at the time. I was homesick. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give up. Because here's the other thing, I was never taught how to push through anything hard.
Oh, yeah.
So I abandoned myself and
Uh-huh.
my dream because I didn't know how to work through the resistance that I was feeling around the thing I was trying to pursue. So I left Colorado State. I transferred to the University of Arizona and studied business because I thought that would be general enough that I could find a job doing something.
Hmm.
But I never asked the question of myself, what do I actually want?
Yeah.
I was always coming from the place of what do I think I should do,
Right.
not what do I really want. I never knew how to answer that question. That was
So
not something
I'm
we
just
actually like.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have the same kind of experience that, well, I don't know what I want.
Mhm.
And I kept looking to other people. What should I want? What am I supposed to want? Here's where I am in my life. What am I supposed to want based on that?
Right.
What what do you, as you look back on that, what do you think was your bottleneck between
Mm.
identifying what you wanted and letting yourself kind of believe in that?
I think it was a lot of fear.
Okay.
It was fear that I wouldn't be able to figure it out. Right. Kind of going
Mm,
back to the whole desire to want to be a marine biologist. It's like I
yeah.
knew if I was super honest with myself about what do I really love, like what lights me up, what makes me
Right.
feel like excited to get up in the morning. I think I was afraid that I couldn't love something and make money doing it at the same time.
That's a message that is so prevalent
Yeah.
and is not productive. It's not true, A,
No.
but it's not, but it's so prevalent. That's an assumption that so many people have. Well, I just got to go
Yeah.
grind it out for 40 years and
Right.
then I can enjoy my life.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really like have anyone in my family, not in my core family or in my extended family where I had an example of someone who was doing something that they loved and also making money doing it.
Mhm.
It was everything that was modeled that I was surrounded by was what you were describing, the hustle, the grind, the I have to do this because I don't have choice. So I never really grew up with an example of the opposite of that.
Yeah. So business degree, is that what you graduated with?
I got it. Well, I dropped out of college
Okay.
because I was so unhappy with I, where my mind was because I wasn't clear on what I really wanted to do. I think I just sort of got burnt out.
Mm.
And the only thing that I knew I wanted to do at that time was work at Starbucks
Okay.
because I loved the leadership. I loved the customer experience. I loved the relationship building. So I left college in my third year so that I could work full time
Mhm.
with the intent of eventually going back, but I didn't know at the time when that would be. And then I met my husband, who is my husband now. So we've been together for a long time. We met at Starbucks, and he was kind of in a similar place.
Okay.
We both ended up dropping out of college to do Starbucks full time. And then when we realized that working in retail with retail hours was not something we wanted to do forever, we both we both decided it was time to get grown-up jobs.
Yeah.
And so I pivoted into financial services. So I
Okay.
went from a very, I don't even know how you would coin Starbucks. There's structure there, right?
Mhm.
There's intention with how those jobs look, but it was a totally different experience than what I'd ever been in before. It was an office job. So I was
Mhm.
constantly on my feet with Starbucks. I moved to a very office kind of environment where I was sitting most of the day working on a computer, and I was talking to financial advisors and shareholders on the phone, but I hated it because I really wanted to be leading people, and that's what I
Mm.
was doing at Starbucks. So my intention at the time was put in the time, eventually work up to leading a team. And so I was able to do that at the company I was working for. And then my husband, 6 years later, got a job in San Francisco because he wanted to switch industries, moving out of financial services into tech.
Okay.
And so I decided I was going to leave my job at the time because I thought, well, maybe I want to be a stay-at-home mom instead. But in San Francisco, at the time that we were living life and with the expensive everything in San Francisco,
It is
we
not cheap
realized
there.
it's not. It's a beautiful city, and I loved it for what it was, but it was also a really tough
Yeah.
time because I thought I had figured out what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, great. Now I know I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And then I felt like that choice was taken from me
Okay.
because we couldn't figure out financially how to make it work off of just my husband's salary. So I got another job in financial services working for a different company, and it was horrible. It was
Mhm.
like the Wolf of Wall Street kind of
Oh,
culture. It was just awful. And I was like, this is not a good fit. So I left, found another job in financial services. And then by that point, our family was like, we got to get out of San Francisco. This isn't working anymore. So we left, moved to Texas, and I decided I'm done with financial services. What's next? And that's when I got a job at Apple.
okay.
So I was there for 5 years. It was probably one of the best jobs I've ever had and one of the most difficult jobs I've ever had,
Mm.
emotionally exhausting because I was talking to people who were not happy with the service they were getting.
Ah.
And so it was emotionally draining. But what I learned was I was getting one step closer to figuring out what I love.
Mhm.
I didn't know it at the time, but I was doing a lot of training and a lot of coaching, and I was having a much greater impact in the lives of the people that I worked with than I think I even appreciated at the time.
Yeah.
So, all that to say, fast forward, I left Apple off the back of COVID because we had to relocate, or we chose to relocate to be closer to family. So, we left Texas, we moved back to Arizona. And I said, well, if Apple's not going to keep letting me work here because they were really kind of towing the line hard on return to office
Mm.
after COVID,
Yeah.
what's next? And I ended up landing at Intel, which was probably the best and the worst 2 years of my life because it was one of those things where I said yes to the offer and I probably should have said no,
Ah.
but I didn't know it at the time. I
Right.
took the job because I needed a job. We
Okay.
needed the income, not because it was really truly in alignment for me.
Right. So is that why you say that it was something that you probably should have said no to?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew pretty much immediately that it wasn't what I wanted, but I
Mhm.
also knew I could do the job. So I
Sure.
said yes because I knew I could do it. And I knew
Right.
it paid well. But as I started to get more into the role and learning how things worked in the organization, it became very, very clear to me that I was not long for that world for lots
Right.
of reasons. And I started like exploring, okay, something's not working. I've done this enough times. I've moved enough companies. I've changed roles enough, and nothing ever really felt like it fit. And so I had a dear friend of mine who called me one day, and she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "I got to tell you, you really want to know? You want the long answer or the short answer?" And she said, "Okay, Monica, I have an exercise for you. Are you interested?" And I was like, "I will try anything to get clarity at this point because things feel so fuzzy for me right now." And she goes, "Okay, I want you to make a map of all of the jobs that you've ever had and all of the responsibilities that you had in each of those jobs. And then I want you to go back and I want you to circle all of the things that you loved about the jobs that you had. And then I want you to take a step back and I want you to see if there are any themes that pop up. I was like, okay, I can do that. So I'm going through the exercise and I'm circling all the things. And I took a step back and I was like, oh my gosh, it's coaching.
Yeah.
It was like, talk about a light bulb moment. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, great. So that's great. Now what? What do I do? I'm in this job that I can't stand. It's totally not coaching like in any possible way. It
Right.
doesn't look anything like it, smell anything like it. But now what? Um, and so at the time, my husband had exited corporate,
Mm-hmm.
not by choice. And best thing could have happened to him.
Oh,
But it
good.
was an inflection point in our life where he started to get access to a different community of people who were building businesses
Mm.
instead of working in corporate. And he got involved with a mastermind program that had a mindset component in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who were running the mindset component had a coaching academy.
Okay.
And so he said, hey, I've got this, like these folks who have this coaching academy. I know you're looking to see if you can find one. And maybe you can take a look and see if this one would be a good fit. Because I'd looked at ICF and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this seems like it could work, but
Sure.
there was something still missing for me, but I didn't know what it was. And so I took a look at the syllabus and I cried through the
Mm.
entire thing. It hit something in me like at a soul level that
Yeah.
I think I had been looking for so long, Ken, and I just didn't know
Yeah.
that that's what it was. But it just everything kind of came into focus and I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I think for the first time in my life, it was a whole body yes immediately.
Isn't that an amazing feeling?
Yeah.
It's so great. So I had my wife told me several years ago, just an observation based on knowing me for 30 years and well, longer than that, but we'd been married 30 years and she had heard a podcast with a life coach and she said, you should do that. You'd be good at that. And I thought, yeah, that sounds kind of fun. And just felt so right. And then I went and visited my mom. And he talked about, some of the stories and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom said, and my mom was going through some tough times at the time. My dad was on the long, slow decline with dementia and after a stroke. And so she's stressed with that. And I held off for as long as I could before I said, yeah, Mom, I'm certified to be a life coach. Why? Why are you certifying to be a life coach? Why does everybody want to be a coach? Why does everybody need a coach? And I knew that was coming, which was why I put it off as long as I could, because I didn't have an answer. And so I sat there, and it was kind of it was a challenge to my whole existence that, what? This is my mom, and I didn't know how to answer it, but it was still it had been on my mind, but it was just kind of rolling around, and it took 2 days before it finally hit me. It was like a bolt of lightning that, oh my goodness, I know why. And so she's driving me to the airport. And I said, here's why. Michael Jordan has a coach because when he's shooting layups, he can't see what he's missing. Tiger Woods has a coach because he can't see what he's missing in a swing. As a coach, I am the mirror for people. I help them see the things that they can't see. And by the same token, having a coach helps me see things that I can't see because I'm too close to it. And we have this really wonderful conversation. She's so supportive, but she said, I wish we had started this conversation earlier because there's so many things that I want to talk about. And it was reaffirming for me, but also it was so helpful for me to reframe it that way, that I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here just to hold up the mirror and say, okay, Monica, help me understand why you have this belief or this behavior or this assumption or this, whatever it is. And it's so rewarding. And so I that's my long way of saying, I get it. I know exactly what you're experiencing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's such a great story. And what a gift that your mom gave you in asking that question.
Yeah. And I was so terrified of the question. And in fact, my wife was so proud of me. She thought it was great that I was doing this. I was
Yeah.
going through the certification. I was practicing all that. And she's telling people, hey, guess what? Kid's going to be a life coach. And I thought, shut up. I don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
And I had a long, long um, background on that. But we're going to breakfast with my niece. And did you hear? Uncle Ken's going to be a life coach. And I'm just cringing. What is she going to say? What's the reaction going to be? And my niece, so supportive. Oh, that's really cool. So tell me. And we had this really fun conversation.
Mm.
And so becoming a coach is not part of the traditional um, idea that you had growing up. So how did you reconcile that?
You know, I don't really think I thought about it, to be honest with you. I think I was just so grateful that I
Mm,
had finally landed on something that felt real and aligned for me.
yeah.
That at the time, like I made the decision in that moment as soon as I read that syllabus, Ken, that I was like, that's the thing I need to do next.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how I was going to pay for it.
Right.
And I had no idea what I was going to actually do with it. Like it was just, I knew that it was calling me
Yeah.
and I had to say yes because I was so tired of not knowing. And I felt like I was just fumbling my way through life, like doing what I thought I should do. That, like, I look great on paper, I have a beautiful resume, I was making good money. Like, on the outside, everything looked great. But on the inside, I was deeply stuck
Yeah.
and deeply lost. And I didn't know how to trust myself. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that was the only thing in my mind at the time, really.
I love that exercise too, because um, we are hoping that the answers are just going to fall from the sky, and they don't. We assume that there's a right and a wrong answer. And we're so terrified of getting the wrong answer that we are afraid to take a step into the right answer. And so sometimes it is that whole body yes that resonates so clearly. But looking back to our past, and this is one of the exercises I do with clients when we're
Yeah.
doing goal setting, is look at your camera roll. What are the things that were so significant that you took pictures because you wanted to document, remember?
Yeah.
And that's gonna leave clues about what it is about your life that's important. Do you have pictures
Mhm.
of animals, pictures of flowers, pictures of kids, pictures of trips, pictures of whatever it is? And so I love that. I love that. And your husband was in a similar mindset. So I would imagine that you had some support there as well.
I did. Yeah, I absolutely did. And I was, you know, the universe always has our back,
Sure.
is what I tell my clients, right? And I remind myself daily. And I firmly believe that I was exactly where I needed to be in that moment.
Mhm.
And so was my husband, because had things not happened, had the dominoes not fell the way that they fell for him, I would never have found that coaching program,
Right.
more than likely. And I might have still continued to choose something that was not fully in alignment with me, but that mostly fit,
Yeah.
right?
Or where the
And so
money
yeah,
was or whatever. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. But I almost kind of got adopted into
Mm,
this community. And I was actually traveling with my husband to go to these mastermind programs because the philosophy of the program was, if your spouse is not on board and you're working through trying to grow a business and grow yourself, that's not a great recipe for success.
no, something's going to
Yeah.
fail, either the marriage or
Yes,
the business.
totally. Yeah. So I did. I had a beautiful built-in support system of people who could hold space for me
Yeah.
while I was in my resistance,
Hmm.
because I was, even though I said yes and I knew it was the right thing, the process of going through, and it was almost like a part of me was dying, like the old part of me, the part of me that thought I should do X, Y, and Z. I should get the corporate job, the pay, all that stuff. I had to let go of the belief that that was the only way
Yeah.
for me to have a life that looked like I wanted it to, right? And when you've been so wrapped up in that belief for so long, shifting out of that. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here because this is the work we do with clients, right? Is like
Right.
helping them to see that they can create a new belief and that they can live from that place because the one that they've been living from for forever isn't serving them anymore.
Right.
And that process is messy and
Very.
it's definitely not it looks like a rat's nest and you just
Yeah.
tease things out and you're like, oh man, there's this other thing over here now that I'm now becoming aware of that I got to deal with. So I had a lot of community around me that could hold a lot of love and a lot
Mm,
of space for me while I was navigating all of that mess
yeah.
and while my husband was navigating his own mess. And had I not had that, I think it would have been a lot more difficult for me to be able to work through it. And so I think I've learned the value of support
Yes.
in a totally different way. I've learned the value of like we can't do these things on our own. We're not meant to carry it all.
No.
And we need people to come into our life. Like had my friend not offered that exercise to me, right? Like
Right.
I've just become aware of all these points in my life where people have offered support and guidance. And it's just reinforced my belief of how important coaching is because to your point, we can't see what we can't see all
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
We need people to help point things out. We need the guidance. We need the hand holding. We need people to hold space for us while we're figuring it out.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up just a point because it's so important. And you said you're preaching to the choir, but there's people listening that, and to be honest, I need the reminder as much as anybody that
Sure.
just because I've held a belief for any period of time does not mean that it's true. And
Right.
so, but support community is so important because we start to wonder somebody's gaslighting us. And we start to wonder, are we gaslighting ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
And, or is it this community or is it somebody else? And so my wife has, um, she's completely supported me. And,
Mm-hmm.
but I also realized that I was holding myself back because I recognize if I take a leap in my business that requires a significant change in me, if she's not 100% on board, then like you were saying, something's going to fail. It's going to be the marriage or
Yeah.
the business. And I was more committed to the marriage, which meant I was pulling my business back. And when I realized that, I sat down with her and I said, this is where I'm going. And I love you. And if you're willing to go with me, fantastic. If you're not willing to go with me, then I need you to accept the fact that this is where I'm going. Because I don't want to
Yeah.
lose this with you. I don't want to lose that with the business. And she told me that she was not going anywhere. Fantastic. But having that reassurance. And so then I can go in and have conversations. And she was trying to go to sleep the other day. And I said, I hit 500,000 views on a video. And she said, oh, that's so great. So she doesn't care, but she's so supportive that she cares. And so
Yeah.
that's find a community that is going to be supportive, whether it's a partner, whether it's a friend, whether it's an organization, a program, whatever it is. It's so important. And one of the things about the community that we're in with David Nagel is
Mm-hmm.
the community we're in, is everybody is so supportive. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter at what level you're in with your business. You could be at the very beginning, you can be at the multi-million-dollar level.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is so supportive.
Yeah. It's a game changer,
Yeah.
right? And being in the energy of creation, like people who are creating something who can support you and give you reminders, because we all forget. We all get stuck in our heads and we all revert back into old patterning. And so we need people to remind us because we all forget.
Yeah.
And I that has been a huge gift that the communities that I've been involved in continue to give and I continue to give in return. It's this sort of idea of reciprocity,
Yeah.
right? How do we create reciprocity so that we can meet each other where we're at and continue to grow along that path and work through the resistance that comes up along the way so that we
Because
know
it comes up.
because it's always there, right? Well,
There's
and
always,
I don't know if you have this conversation with your clients, Ken, but I know I do a lot is a lot of times people think they hit the wall of resistance and they think they're doing something wrong. It's like, no,
Mm,
you're actually doing something right. Like
yeah.
celebrate. You hit the resistance wall and they're going to keep coming.
Yeah.
So
Because you're butting up against a belief that you have.
that's it.
And we've got to understand it's helpful to know, it's required to know that it's a belief. It's not fact,
Yes.
it's not true. It's helpful to understand where it came from. It's not required. But um, if you understand that, yeah, I was pursuing this career path because I had this
Mm-hmm.
belief that I needed to have the white collar job because I couldn't go after what I wanted, because that's helpful, because then the conscious mind can look at that and say, that doesn't make any sense. And you can start to process that. But it's every time it's a belief that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I and so I'm starting to look for, I'm proactive at, okay, what's my next belief that is wrong that I can now start to believe something different about. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so fun to start finding the things, because what I'm seeing for myself
Yeah.
is I'm capable of so much more than what I assumed in
Mm-hmm.
college or after 20 years in the workforce or
Mm-hmm.
this year or whatever. There's so much more I can do.
Yeah.
And it's just a
Yeah.
belief. It's an assumption.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly where all of our actions, our thoughts, everything comes. It's rooted in that thing. So you're
Yeah.
right. If you can get a handle on it, you build some awareness around it, then you can decide how you want to shift out of it into something that is going to work for you. So you don't
Right.
get stuck.
Yeah.
But it's a messy process.
It is a messy process. It's so much fun to be on the outside watching somebody else. It is not as fun being inside
Hmm.
the middle of it. But who is it that you help,
Yeah.
Monica?
So primarily I help people who they're navigating a stage of life where they feel like they know something's not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
They have some awareness of like, this isn't working anymore, but they don't maybe know exactly why it's not working or what they need to do differently to get out of it.
Right.
And I help people who are really interested in working to shift out of this idea of what do I feel like I should do or have to do
Uh-huh.
into this more conscious creation of what do I want,
Yeah.
and what kind of place do I want to live from? Who do I want to be? And so a lot of the work I do is with women,
Mm-hmm.
because I think as women we get up in our heads a lot about trying to feel like we got to hold it all,
Right.
and feeling like we have to present or perform in order to have love or affection or validation that we're doing a good job. And so a lot of the work I do is helping women to realize how to trust the voice that's theirs instead of all the other voices that
Yeah.
maybe they think are theirs but are really not theirs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that I think we all struggle with. This is not unique to women. We have a
No.
voice in our
Hmm.
head that's telling us things, and it's usually not productive, and
Hmm.
it's not our voice. That's not us.
Yeah.
It may
Yeah.
sound like us. We may
Hmm.
assume it is us because it's coming from our head, but it's not us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
I love that. Well, I could spend hours talking to you because I
Same.
love what you're doing. I love your story. I love the impact that you're having with these women. Um, Most of my clients are men, and it's only because they are. If I do the
Hmm.
math, most of them are men.
Sure.
I have worked with women too, but women have some unique challenges that I think are served really well by having a woman who has been there, who's experienced it,
Hmm.
and can help them tease apart those voices that are not helpful. They're not helping. They're not productive.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I want to be respectful of everybody's time, really.
Hmm.
If people wanted to learn more about you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah. So my business is called Modern Tides. So if folks are interested in learning more about the work that I do around I coach individuals, but I also do group coaching, and I'm in the process of launching a year-long women's mastermind program to help women reconnect with that inner voice that's there so that they can learn how to live from a place of self-trust and build a
Mm,
life that they love. You can find all that information on my website, which is www.moderntides.net. And if you want to, get in touch with me, there's a way that you can fill out a contact form
Okay.
on my website, and I'll get back in touch with you.
Cool. And I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
So it has been a blast. It was great running into you at lunch.
Right? I know. I'm so glad I ran into you at lunch.
That was so much fun. Yeah, I was, and a whole story about that too, but it's not important now. But I'd seen you on the calls, I'd seen you online, and I thought, I'm just going to say hi to the people that I recognize.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun to have that very short conversation there. But we've talked a couple times since then, and I love what you're doing. I love the and about your story. There's so many things I love about your story, but I love that you found a way to really live into your ability to impact people because of your experience. Sometimes we think that our experience, we've done something wrong, we've gone the wrong way, but sometimes it's that quote wrong way that gives us the insight, the perspective, the knowledge, the information to have the kind of impact that we are meant to have. So.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And could I share one other quick little tip that might be helpful for your listeners?
Absolutely.
So when I was trying to figure out what I wanted, truly, after I did that map, and I was like, okay, coaching is probably the thing. There were 3 questions that I asked myself that helped me really know that was the thing. What am I good at?
Yes.
What lights me up?
Love it.
And what does the world need?
Oh, so powerful. Those are great.
They were really helpful for me.
And what overlap did you see, especially between what you're good at and what lights you up?
Yeah, I think what I learned was kind of what you just pointed out is like, I love being able to go to bed every night knowing that I made a difference in somebody else's life.
Yeah.
And if I could have confidence that I could have that kind of impact every day, I could live that day every day for the rest of my life and be happy.
I love it. Some days you may go to bed and you may not know whether you had any kind of impact, but some days you wake up and you get the message that you changed my life. And I hope you've had those messages. I've gotten those, and it's amazing to know that you've done something that has had that kind of difference for somebody. So thanks again. This has been a blast. We'll chat again sometime.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'd love that. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right. And thanks for listening. We will talk to you all next week.
Get back to the work you love, where you face less stress, gain more happiness, and live into your purpose. Let me help you become unstuck and unstoppable so you can finally have the life you want. Head over to my website to connect with me at kenwilliamscoaching.com.